Welcome back to Easthaven County, Massachusetts, where we are looking at the downtown core of Fort John. Now, obviously, this was the main focus of the most recent episode, and we got pretty far. We still have lots of empty lots and lots more development to do in here, but I'm generally pretty happy with how the skyline turned out. I'm especially happy with how Bay Road is looking. I think it's very obvious that this is one of the most expensive addresses here in Easthaven County. I mean, just look at these views. If we move to the penthouse here, you've got the views of the only actual mountain in southeastern Massachusetts. I can't remove that one because it's outside the map limits. Anyways, there's still a ton of empty blocks here in downtown, but we're actually not going to be developing those today because that would really skew the balance of the entire county. Let me show you guys what I mean. So we are approaching 20,000 jobs in total, and we have a pretty good balance between all the different sectors of the county. We have a very healthy industrial base here in Easthaven, which I think is impressive because it's like a high-income, high cost of living area. But there's something we specialize in here that seems to be working. Now, the issue is that with our current population, we have like, 40 open positions in total across the entire county. And the unemployment rate is already 14%. So if we start adding a bunch of more housing to downtown, which we will eventually, because I want the downtown to be densely populated, you know, it's a mini Boston we're going for here. Our unemployment rate is going to explode, and we can't have that. So today's episode is all about job creation. Yeah, I know I could run for US presidency with that message, but that's going to be the focus. We need more jobs, and we need it across all different sectors to keep a healthy balance. Now, we've already established that one of the key elements to Fort John's dominance of Easthaven County is the perfect natural harbor. We have these very deep but very calm waters as they are protected by these rivers, so the worst of the weather you could expect from the Atlantic Ocean never really reaches this area. It never gets super crazy. So what better way to expand the job base here in Easthaven County by actually starting this massive industrial area? So I think we're just gonna jump straight into it. We need container ports. Maybe we even need like an actual shipyard, some custom dry docks to build ships in. I've got some ideas. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Right before we get going, as always, I would very much appreciate a like on this video if you enjoy my content. Thank you. Alright, so I want to think big. I don't want to make this area too small because it's gonna be a pain to expand in the future. So we might as well just go all out and really prepare something big here. Also because that should hopefully provide a ton of jobs so that we can just focus on expansion in the coming episodes. So grabbing the cargo harbor, I think I want to place at least 2 of these on this main island where Fort John is located, and then maybe in the future we'll place like a third one over here or over here and make this like a really busy cargo freight area. But I want to place 2 at first, so I'm just gonna pause the game and then we're gonna do a bunch of terraforming because I think I want one about here and then one next to it, but at a bit of an off angle. And then I'll do my best with the surface tooling to try and make them look a little more seamlessly connected. Obviously, that's all gonna require us to do a ton of terraforming. So let's just buy all of these tiles. That didn't eat too much into our profit. So we're looking really good financially. We've really been turning things around lately, which is always very nice. And let's see, the shoreline is at 866, which isn't a whole lot. So I think I'm just going to try and raise this area in general. So we'll just go 868. And I'm just going to paint a massive area for starters while the game is paused, because obviously we're going to change this all up when we've placed down our ports. And here we have the shipping lane, so I can't really do much to that as of right now, at least. We'll grab the cargo harbor and we'll move 1. Let's see, I gotta think this through. This is a massive thing and it's almost 500k. Oh boy. I think I'll place one right about Let's see, how is that in relation to the actual city? That's looking pretty good. So we'll place one right here. Wow, that is, yeah, can I select that with move it and just bring that up to like, there you go. That's a little better. Bring that up to a different level. All right, we're gonna continue as if nothing has happened. I want to align this very, very close to the corner here. Or maybe actually leave a bit of space so that we can get a small road through and actually add some jobs in between. Actually, let's not do that. We're gonna move really, really close here. There we go. Get that placed, and then I think we'll just upgrade this one just so that it looks a little different than its neighbor. And that's a pretty good start. So we have this this triangle here, which I wanna try and make look somewhat seamless. So I think I'm gonna grab this custom asphalt pedestrian path, no snapping enabled, and then I am just going to try to cover this up. And obviously this wouldn't be possible without Anarchy, because I am effectively crossing into the actual cargo harbors, but oh well. Something like this. And then I think if I just add a key wall here, that is going to look pretty good, although I could actually make it look even better. So we're just going to manually do a tiny adjustment, and that is probably gonna be pretty decent. Yes, so are these raised enough? I'm not quite sure, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this one and make sure that's aligned to the same height as this one. Then I think we're probably best off just raising them a little bit. Otherwise we might have some flooding issues and whatnot, and I really would like to not have that. So let's just see how that works with the terrain height. I think that works just about perfectly, or as good as it's gonna get. Then let's grab this level here and just lower everything down again. Now, is this gonna work the way I hope? We'll see. A bit more terraforming should tell us, so we'll just make the brush as small as we possibly can and see if I can make this look all right. We're gonna apply a surface here, so that's going to cover up some of the imperfections, but it's all right. It's not too bad, actually. I don't really mind that look. I wonder if adding like one... Nah, it's not gonna work, I think. At least I would have to then manually do it. So I think this is probably fine as a starter, although I am going to grab this node and just make sure that each of these are about the same height as the actual cargo ports, or cargo harbors rather. And we're just gonna zoom out and see how that looks. And I think that looks pretty good. As I said, we are going to try and tie them in a little better so that you don't have this awkward space, but otherwise I think that's really nice. And I kind of like this little bay we have back here, because we might be able to fit in like a bit of extra industry, maybe even park a ship in here or something like that. Although we are going to take a bit of it to get the road connection going, obviously. With these two big pillars in place and $1 million having vanished from our reserves, we need to carefully consider the infrastructure that needs to support these two, because if I recall, cargo traffic can be kind of hectic with a ton of trucks moving in and out, and we're gonna have a cargo rail yard as well here, so it's gonna get slightly messy. So we need to just be careful with how we expand on this avenue here. It needs to have very easy access to these. We can't have any, at-grade crossings, I think, with these train tracks at least, because that's just gonna cause too many issues with the trains we'll have moving in and out, because I plan on a lot of rail infrastructure here as well. So it's just something we need to keep in mind. The first thing I'm gonna do is just make a basic road to connect this one out here. So we'll just do something real basic. This is probably gonna be turned into an avenue. Now that I think about it, we'll use this We'll use this simple version, and then I'll just do a quick connection here from the center of this, if I can. I can't, okay. So we'll just disable snapping, we'll find the center the way we want to, and we'll just do a smooth curve, and then I think I'll create some sort of roundabout down here at the entrance. But I'll just offset it slightly. Can I do that with manipulation mode of some sort? If I grab this, no, I can't. I probably need an additional node. So I'll just try and double click here and see if that worked. That seems to have worked, because now I can select the roundabout then, and I can, as you guys can see, I can kind of twist it a bit so that it doesn't really overlap with the cargo harbor. So I think something like that is probably a pretty good start. Now this connection is the tricky one. We probably need a bridge, because actually I'm gonna try to lower the road here and go underneath the train tracks, but I'm a bit worried that we are going to face some issues with flooding. We'll see. We'll see just how it works. So this level is 869. Can I just lower that a bit? -10 then. Yeah, we've got the groundwater right there, which is not great. So this is just gonna hit play. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work at all. So I think we're going to have to actually just create a bridge instead, which is probably more realistic as well. Now what I want to do is, I think I want to use some of these highways, because I don't really want I don't want sidewalks on this bridge. This is not something that I would consider to be super walkable. It's to cross busy freight tracks at our port facility. It's not meant to be super walkable. I'm just gonna disable Anarchy, because if I can complete this bridge without Anarchy, I much prefer to reduce the chance of having any issues later on. And then I think we'll go for the complex curve tool, because then I can click once, and I can click once more, and then bring it in, and then we'll lower it. And I'll just have a look to see if that is too steep. I don't think it's too bad at all. We'll do the same thing over here. So we start at this height, and then I'm going to click once. I'll click once more, and we'll bring that down as... Oh, didn't work for whatever reason. We'll click once more and have Anarchy on. Apparently that's going to be necessary for this part. And the reason I did this with this little turn here is just to have a bit more space for the elevation. Now I say that trying to sound clever, but obviously this isn't looking all that great. So if I can just lower the height, that does look a little better. And then maybe I can just move this so that I don't have any clipping. And I'm probably going to change this to a rail track version without any catenaries, because I imagine our cargo rail at the very least isn't electrified. It's all gonna be heavy duty diesel instead. But I think this works all right. It looks a bit funky, but I don't really mind. And for a bit of extra safety measures, I'll be adding a key wall here, mainly just to get the fence or the barrier in place. And we'll do the very same thing over here. We might even do that on either side. And I'm actually thinking I might want to utilize the highway aesthetic for all of the roads here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade this to at least this segment here. Maybe we'll even do something a little different here. So we're going to add in a slip lane to make it very, very easy to kind of just continue onwards here instead of having to deal with the traffic lights. So I'm just trying to implement some infrastructure that looks interesting, but is also functionally going to make it easier for all the truck traffic, to navigate this place. And to then do something which I hope is clever, I'm gonna grab the lane connector tool, and I'm gonna disallow the left turn here, so that we have a double, the right turn, so that we have a double left turn to go towards the two cargo harbors. This is probably going to be used the most because we have the entrance right here for this one, and obviously the entrance down here. But I do expect this lane to be used as well, because we'll have lots of cargo facilities out this way as well. I think I want this place to start functioning really early on, because then we can maybe we can like adjust capacity and do infrastructure upgrades or changes while we're actually building this place. So I'm gonna create some power lines. They have when I go 10 meters elevation, you can see it's kind of a bigger, more substantial one. So I think we're gonna, whoops, what am I doing? What if I elevate it by 5, 7.5? No, 10 is going to bring the aesthetic that I want. So we're gonna go regular power lines here, because I really just love the way they look. And then we can connect up to this road, and we'll bring them to about here. Then we're going to just lower them, because we can connect to the... Oh, wait, do I already have a crossing? I don't, so I can just do this connection. Right? Actually, no, I can't. All right, we'll just do it like this. Anyways, we're all connected up now. So now we just need to connect the sea lanes and get some shipping lanes going. So let's see. I think this is just a narrow... Yeah, it's just a narrow seaway, which is fine. We can I... Oh, these are very close. I wonder if this is gonna cause issues. I mean, I hope not, but if I can just do that connection... And we can just do a narrow connection here as well. Because obviously I want the cargo ships, when they've offloaded or unloaded, like at this bay here, they need to be able to exit rather quickly, so that they don't, what do you say, collude with some of the other ships in place. So I'm basically just trying to create like a lot of space for the ships to navigate. So I think I want to try and I'm gonna disable snapping here maybe. See if I can add in like an additional... Can I add in an additional lane here? Maybe not. We'll see how the ships actually react. I guess that's one of the benefits of getting this up and running as quickly as possible. And then I need the ships to move all the way down here before they move in. And we'll probably upgrade this so that it's a little bigger, giving them a little more space to navigate right before they dock. Something like that. Cargo ship tool will create a couple of lines out here to the Atlantic. We'll grab this one first. And I think we'll create one over here just to see how well that functions. Yoink. Maybe I should just do all 4 actually. I mean, probably... Oh, that's interesting. The pathway this one would move all the way around. So... I mean, that's not really ideal, but maybe I should actually just do it just to see how that actually works. Oh, it's going to leave through that passage. That's pretty cool. Right? It looks like it's going to move this way, you know, south of Cape Rose to actually dock, but then it's going to be moving underneath the bridge here and move north of Fort John as well as Chowder Bay before it exits to the Atlantic. That is kind of cool. We need one more, and we'll just grab this one. I think I don't want to use these ones, because ideally I would actually just want to delete these, because this is supposed to lead inlands and reach the, you know, quote unquote mainland part of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of a role play bending stuff going on currently. But we've got some cargo lines now, so we're gonna hit play and see how this all pans out. Although something I do want to check before we do that, before I hit play, I want to see how much trade is currently going on in Easthaven County. So all trade with all raw materials and petrochemicals and all that stuff, including, do we have cars and stuff in here as well, software and beverages, everything amounts to about, what's that, $120 million. I don't know what time scale this is. Is that a year or... Anyways, we're going to hit play and see how this one changes, because I expect this to rise quite a bit now that we have cargo harbors, because we don't have any in the Easthaven County currently. But so it's going to be interesting to follow just how this one develops. And we've got our very first ship ready to enter this dock right here. Let's just see if it does so without any clipping or issue. Ooh, very close, but yeah. Seems to be working fine. What are we bringing in? Nothing. All right, I guess the route is just being established maybe. Nothing here as well. We'll have to follow up on that, but it should work. Fortunately, it didn't take long for ships completely full, 1,000 tons of cargo spread evenly across a number of categories to actually start docking here, and there's a lot of activity now, and we're starting to storage quite a bit of raw material as well. So I imagine that, yeah, our trade numbers have absolutely exploded. We've reached $500 million worth of trade now. Very nice. I'm hoping we can reach about $1 billion when we start adding in cargo train hubs as well. So that's going to be interesting to follow. But for now, I'm very, very happy. There's obviously a ton of activity here, maybe even a bit too much, but I don't think I can adjust the I can't adjust the amount of ships on these, can I? Oh, actually I can. I guess I want to reduce the amount of assigned vehicles. That is kind of odd. The amount of assigned ships to the shipping route, because I don't want... I mean, it looks a little odd with these many ships. So we're going to try and lower this, and then I don't know if that's going to create some type of bottleneck in like the simulation or what that's going to affect us. But for now, it's just a visual thing. I don't want 25 ships here, even though it is supposed to be busy. So far, it seems like the actual traffic here is holding up really well. Nothing crazy yet. We've had a few trucks enter and deliver goods to the cargo harbors, and then leave with, you know, empty cars. And we'll see. We'll continue to monitor. Let's get on with some rail stuff. That is always super fun to work with. I'm going to be using stuff from Tygon's rail infrastructure pack over on PDX Mods extensively, because it has so many cool things. So for one, we can unelectrify our cargo tracks. So I just did that for these segments, and I've done that for a couple of these as well. I'll do the rest at some other time, because that's gonna be a little boring. So that's a good start, but even more impressive, we have these specialized cargo train stops or cargo train terminals that are much smaller than the vanilla one. So this is the vanilla one, which we're still gonna use, don't worry. In fact, let me just zoom out a bit so I can kind of see the placement. Yeah, I'm still gonna place that because this area is gonna be so massive. But what is really cool is we have these customized yards as well, and we're gonna grab this medium train general freight yard unelectrified. Unfortunately, this one is not like unelectrified, but this one is, and we'll place that as well. And as you guys can see, it's much smaller, so the size is quite a bit more manageable. And even if it wasn't, it's always just cool to get some custom assets in here, because that's just gonna make the area feel a lot more nice and diverse. So I think I'll have a big train yard in between these as well. So I think I'm just going to place it almost parallel to the vanilla one, but not quite. Something like this. And then I'm just going to, just to start out, we're just gonna bring a very, very basic road to cover this one, and maybe even just a basic road to cover this one as well. Something like that. Then obviously we'll need to get all of this connected up and just get a lot of additional rail pieces in here that aren't necessarily functional, but will look good. I'm generally pretty happy with how things are starting to look here at the port of Fort John. And speaking of which, I should probably just designate that as an actual district so that we can monitor the demographics, or, you know, the amount of jobs and all that good stuff. So we're just gonna make the district border on these existing ones and then pretty much just follow how the current peers are actually looking. So we'll have to adjust this district, of course, if we do further expansion. But we're just about ready to actually get both of these cargo terminals working. So we're gonna make a couple of lines. I want to check how our trade situation is looking before I do that, though. So it looks like trade peaked at around $900 million, and it has now dropped to about 700 or 650 million maybe. And I think the main thing here is that we reduced the amount of cargo ships that each cargo line has, which I guess that makes sense. That reduces overall trade volume. But once again, this is something I would rather do for realism than just going a full functional mode, because then we'd probably just jam it up as high as we could. But I don't want too many ships here. I think that looks a little weird. But it is going to be interesting to see how adding some train cargo lines is actually going to change this. So let's see. We've got, I'm just going to pause the game. We've got cargo railway route tool here, and we've got, I did the expansion to the vanilla cargo train yard here. So we have 2. So we'll start with this one moving to, well, I guess they're all going to move to Boston, really, because that's really the only connection I have. But I think given the location of Easthaven County, that makes sense. Most of the trade is going to be with North and Northwestern Massachusetts, because that is pretty much all we're connected to. We'll add another waypoint to Boston, and we'll add, oh, we got 2 here as well. I think we'll just start with 1 and just kind of assess how that looks. I don't want a complete train jam in here either. So I have the game paused so that I can just have a look at how these lines are actually looking. So we move into cargo. We've got a couple of lines here. Let's get this one opening. Cargo train. We have a few different versions we can go for. So I guess I just want to try a few, see how they look. And I'll start by assigning 1 vehicle to each of these as well, just so that we once again can have some insight into how much pressure or stress that puts to our existing railway network. So all of these, so this one has a 15 wagon. I guess we could go with that as well, just to see how that is going to interact, and we'll bring that down to 1. Now I'm actually curious whether we have capacity for these trains though. And to check that, we're moving north of West Point, because this is of course where we have our single rail yard. And we've actually got 7 passenger trains currently in use. So we could get the additional 3 cargo trains up and running. But if we also want to do maintenance and stuff, I think we need to bump up the capacity here. So I think we'll add in the extra tracks, which provides 5 additional vehicles, and we'll do the maintenance hall upgrade, which is going to make train maintenance faster. Well, I mean, that is pretty simple and manageable. And I don't have to do any further connections here, but I figure I might as well. And I'm just gonna do the regular electrified because I don't think I can remove the catenaries from this asset, but that's fine. That's fine. We'll have to manage without, I guess. So let's just snap here. We'll enable contour lines. Move way out here with the complex curve tool, find a good point, and then try to connect without causing issues. And I messed that up, so don't follow my approach here. Why is this so hard? There we go. 1 click, 2 clicks. We'll do like that. All right, that worked. Let's see these new cargo trains in action. So we have the first one spawning, obviously with no cargo, and the second one. So it looks like there's going to be a bit of distance between them and the third one, so that's good. And hopefully as time progresses, there'll be even more distance between them. And I guess we are seeing a passenger train come in for either maintenance or to serve West Point. It is to serve West Point. Let's return to Garnet Hill. Yeah, we're gonna go with Port of Fort John. Like of imagination on my part. And it seems we've already got a bit of an issue with garbage piling up, and that makes a lot of sense because if you guys recall, we're very strict with how we select our operating districts for our service coverage here in Easthaven County. Each different city and even some of the more rural communities have their very own service providers, which is the same for Fort John. So we of course need to make sure that we've got some garbage pickup going on, and it is 6 out of 5 vehicles in use. That's pretty impressive. But this also tells me that we might need even more recycling or garbage pickup infrastructure in the future. Let me just think. We need some fire station coverage as well. Can I find the fire station? I seem there it is. There it is. We've got this really urban one. And we'll just make sure we have Port of Fort John covered as well. Although we might, as we start expanding, adding even more industry and jobs, we might need like a dedicated fire station out here. I think that could make a lot of sense. You know, you really don't want fires to start, and especially not run out of control in the massive industrial areas. But for now, I don't think we need it. Anyways, moving on, I am pretty happy with the initial road and rail layout we've created so far. But if there's something I want to change, it's that we have plenty of streets that have normal sidewalks, and I kind of want to do away with that. I want an even more industrial vibe. So I want to use the 2-lane, 2-way highway as sort of a template, I think. So maybe if I just create like a little stretch here, then we're going to jump into Road Builder, click on this guy, and then see what we'd like to change. So the first thing is that I'm just gonna call this a, let's see, we'll just go with a zonable 2-lane, 2-way highway for now. Because right now it isn't really looking all that industrial in nature. And then I'm going to reduce the speed limit quite a bit to 60. It's going to support underground water and sewage cables. It is going to support zoning, and it is going to add traffic lights on intersections. Very nice. And then the question is whether we should change the... I don't think I can increase the width of this anymore, but I might be able to add an empty lane or two in between to give extra space to all the truck traffic we'll be seeing. This one's pretty interesting. We've got gravel in the very center. We could change that as well. This one is interesting looking indeed. I just want to grab it and see how that would look as an upgrade to this one here. So we're gonna enable Anarchy and just kind of bring that through. And I actually do kind of like that look. It's without the sidewalks, there's extra space with the median in the middle. It spawns the traffic lights, and it is zonable. So I think what we'll do is we'll just make sure it has a bit of a more interesting name. So I'm just gonna call it, let's see, instead of zonable, we'll just go for industrial, because then I think it's kind of implied that you can zone alongside it. Very nice. We should have a few more places where we can upgrade with this one. And I have too many of these. There it is. So let's just see. I think we've got a road over here. And I really like the way the markings are automatically drawn out as well when we use this type of road. Down here as well, looks pretty good. We might even go for something like a roundabout. Just a small one or two in these areas here. I think that would make a lot of sense. And that one just about fits, so I'll do a little move it work to get that to fit perfectly. But otherwise, I think this is making the whole place a little more accessible to the trucks. And we'll do a major roundabout here as well, and we'll maybe do... Actually, we won't do one there, but can we fit one in down here? Nah, that's gonna cause an issue, I think. We'll do one here then, because I know cars and trucks actually enter and exit here, and I don't think it would be an issue to have this roundabout in place then. Now let's see how our trains are doing. We've got a cargo train inbound with 750 tons here, and we've got one with almost 1200 tons on this one. So how is this affecting our trade statistics? I think this bump might be due to the train traffic, but it's not really something that can compensate for, you know, the fact that we removed we removed the majority of the container ships. But I guess that makes sense. Let's actually get the increase for our garbage collecting and recycling capacity going. By building something out here, and let me just have a look. I don't actually think I've used this scrap metal recycling center before, but it would pretty obviously be an amazing fit for an industrial area like this. So I'm just gonna free place it. I'm just gonna pause, then I'll free place it at first because I want the backside of it to face the rail yard, and then we'll grab this new type of road we've been using. If I can find it, the industrial 2-lane road we have here. We'll just make sure this is all connected. Pretty nice looking asset, no upgrades, but 5 vehicles. So let's select some operating districts. Let's just let's restrict ourselves to this part of the city, so southern parts of Fort John, which is highly industrial. And there we go, they're on their way. 5 additional vehicles. I expect all of them to be spawned. Now for an area that is primarily built to provide a ton of jobs, it's not all that successful just yet. So let's try fill in a few of these blocks with some industrial units just to see how many jobs we'll get out of that. So I think we're just gonna go for some level 5 industrial units, pretty much a mixture of everything. I'm just gonna free place these, and then we are going to use we'll use surfaces extensively as well, and better bulldozer, just to try and make things look a little more tailored in the way it actually looks and how they're placed. So whenever I can place a couple together without having any pathing issues, I might do that, because that's obviously gonna jump the job count even more, and it creates more like an industrial warehouse feel, which I think is really nice. And as I say that, then for instance, this approach here where we stitch 3 together to create a bigger warehousey building, and we can just use the same color, make sure it's all colorized in the same way so that it looks like a slightly bigger facility. It's a very, very simple strategy, but it does work wonders. And we've got even more warehouses that we can kind of move in here and connect up. We can overlap these as well if we want to. We also need some good old surface parking down here, and I may do some custom work as well. But I like trying to utilize the vanilla parking lots we have available, and they maybe just like using a bit of bulldozer to make it look a little more custom or a little more general. Get rid of some of this nice well manicured grass. I don't think we'd see a ton of that down here at the very least. And then just try and squeeze in a few buildings here, add some odd angles, try to make it look, I'm not even sure if organic is the word for an industrial area like this, but I hope you guys know what I mean. We are having a ton of traffic accidents, which made me check the quality of our roads already, the condition, and it's pretty bad alongside some pretty important roads and arterials. So while we are adding jobs out here, let's get some public jobs as well by building a road maintenance depot. It's all about getting the placement right, of course. And oh, I'm just gonna pause. Am I gonna be able to squeeze it in here? That would be very nice indeed if that's possible. So I'm just gonna free place this and then hope for a better bulldozer to do wonders here. Can I get rid of maybe just one of these? This one? Not bad. I wonder if I can save this as far as terraforming goes, though. Nah, I can't. Unless I make a retaining wall here. Not sure how that's gonna look. It's gonna look all right, I guess. And I didn't raise this. I mean, I guess that's fine. Then we can just make this a little smoother down here. That works. Does it have any upgrades? Extra garage, 5 extra vehicles. I guess we need that. Then we need to... No, I don't need to remove anything anew. That's good. Let's see, 15 vehicles. I don't think I need to assign this to any specific area. All 15 are in use. Okay. All right, so we've created a few more jobs here. Fort John, the port of Fort John is approaching 1,500 positions, which is really nice, but I think we'll reach several thousands as we continue expanding this area, and we could even reclaim more land to make it even bigger and more complex, which we probably will. And speaking of complexity, I did end up revamping the weird squiggly bridge I had here because each time the camera panned across it, I just started cringing, thinking, what's wrong with me? Why would I create such a monstrosity? So those of you that also cringed as I initially created it, I hope you're happy with this solution. And this solution came in two versions, one with a joint road here, but now I split it because this ensures that the trucks leaving this cargo harbor can instantly access this lane here and move wherever they want. So that's all nice and well, but I have paused the game because as we zoom out, I think we have a healthcare problem here in Fort John. There's not really much of an issue in the rest of Easthaven County, so it's pretty much restricted to the city. And I guess this is a good and bad outcome of restricting my city services to individual districts. Because the good thing is that we know exactly where we should increase our capacity, but of course the bad thing is that a potential service crisis like this one can quickly spiral out of control. But the explanation for this crisis is pretty simple and obvious. It's of course all my fault. So one of them being that we might still have a groundwater pollution issue here. If we check our happiness, we see we actually have a -2 from polluted water, which isn't fantastic. And then I also, by accident, reduced our healthcare coverage by quite a bit because there used to be an upgraded medical clinic here, if you guys remember, and now it's gone. There's a highway instead. How very American of me. But this means that our Fort John General Hospital, that is already struggling because of the garbage collecting issue, is really not able to manage the current needs of the city. So I think we're gonna try and fix this before we wrap up the episode, because I think this takes precedence to the job creation for now at least. I haven't been able to really narrow down whether the water pollution is the primary cause of illness in Fort John, because like in this case we have a household where it's only the adult citizen that's actually sick, while even the senior citizen here is doing just fine. So not really sure what's causing everything here, but just for a good measure, I'm going to deactivate this groundwater pumping station, and then we're just going to set up a water pumping station somewhere instead. Maybe I'll just place it here. It's a very temporary measure, I know, but it's basically just to try and get that working. And I think we'll just go for like this type of road too. We don't actually have to provide a road access, by the way. The pumping station will function just fine without it, but for good measure, let's just get a road access going. We'll add in a little roundabout even, and just move that ever so slightly. And we'll hit play because I obviously just need to ensure that everything's looking fine, and it is. So that should cover our demand in the foreseeable future quite a bit. And hopefully this is going to rid us of the... Actually, it's already removed the polluted water issue we had. Okay, so the other issue is of course fixing the healthcare demand we currently have. So I think like one easy solution would be that the medical clinic we used to have out here, we are still going to have out here. There was really no reason to remove it because it had become like an integral part of our service coverage. I even think I had a few upgrades in place. So if we do 2 of these, we do this one, it's actually starting to look like a bit of an asset as well. We're not going to do any specific detailing, but a few oak trees have never hurt anyone. Unless they fall on you, of course. Something like this. And we'll select operating districts, and we'll just make sure to cover all of Fort John, including Little Sicily, and all the small areas as well. I need to cover Central Park and Oak Park and Queen's Cape. John's Bay in case someone is sick out here. I don't think so, but we'll see. And then hit play. Hopefully we'll have all of the ambulances on the road in just a second. Yeah, so all 10 are dispatched, and hopefully this is going to help this issue quite a bit. Alright, so if we check this health statistic, it's going up. I assume that means people are becoming more healthy, and that it has something to do with the increased capacity and the reduced water pollution, the things we've implemented thus far. But it's still looking pretty ugly with all these issues, so I think we're gonna need a few more medical clinics, and then we can always, you know, we can always scale down on our service coverage when this issue has been fixed. We have a pretty healthy economy. So I think the first thing I want to do is add a local clinic out here in Queens Cape. It's a very wealthy area, so I really think it would make a lot of sense. We have the small medical clinic here, and I kind of just want to place it somewhere where I don't end up demolishing more than like maybe a single house. So maybe these guys just have to go. Can I just pause the game for a second, see if I can squeeze it in here? And maybe the house can even stay, because then the building looks a little more custom, I guess. Can I colorize this one as well? Yeah, but not in the way I'd hoped. So maybe we'll just keep it like this. It looks a little better integrated. Obviously, it looks a little wonky when the ambulances leave and enter, but there are only 3 of them, and it doesn't happen that often. Anyways, I think we are going to restrict this clinic to Queens Cape, of course. So we'll say Queens. Let's see, Queens Cape Medical Clinic. And hopefully that's going to reduce a bit of the pressure and strain on our other medical services. So we'll be sitting tight for just a few moments to see if this will clear up or if we need even more intervention. But while we do wait, I guess we could add a few more jobs out here before we wrap things up. But to do that, I need a zonable version of this highway. This is something I've been wanting to create for the longest time, so I don't know why I'm only doing it now, but we're just gonna grab this one. We'll move into, oops, wrong mod, road builder, and we're just gonna make this zonable. Yeah, that's a great name. I'm going to reduce the speed quite a bit because it's technically not going to be a highway anymore. I'm just gonna, actually, let's just keep it in, I guess we'll just keep it in the same category. No, we shouldn't, because it's gonna be called a lane. What? Anyways, we'll add piping, we'll add zoning, we'll add traffic lights on intersections, and okay, we're just gonna keep it in the highway tab for now, I guess. As far as changes here, I mean, we could narrow it a bit. Oh, that actually looks pretty nice. Has a bit of a custom look now as well, because it doesn't have the specific markings. Oh, nice. Let's just try and utilize this one and see if that causes any clipping issues or otherwise. I'm just gonna pause and let's see how we align these. Yoink. Is this no, this is a different segment, although I guess we could do this one here. It's gonna cause a bit of an issue here, but I think if we use move it, it's just because I have 2 facilities closely stitched together here. So just moving that a bit closer. Doesn't that look nice? I think that looks fantastic. So if I could just make sure the lane connections here are looking a little better. You can still go straight here. And I think this guy can also go straight. Yeah, sure. Something like this. And then down here, things look a little wonky. We'll just redo it. There you go. And we'll disallow a U-turn here. Actually, let's allow it. If it adds in an additional marking that looks a little interesting, I'm going to go for it. I honestly really like this version, but we have a bit of clipping at some places during the intersections, but Yeah, whenever we make like slightly strange roads, that's just how it's gonna be, I think. I guess I would just check if it can be solved by, let's see, by just making the shoulders a little wider. If that, no, that's not even possible with this type. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna go all out and grab this one and add it in a few other places as well, because I really think this is a nice looking road. So we'll do something like this. And what about this segment in here? I guess having the extra lines added here actually makes a bit of sense, so that's fine. And of course, with this new road here being zonable, we have the ability to add in even more jobs, which is always very, very nice. So we're just gonna stitch a couple of warehouses together, maybe add some way back here as well. It seems like the small recycling center here in Chowder Bay is having a little difficulty actually handling the garbage accumulation rates in Southport and Northport. So presumably the industrial areas just generate more waste. So what I've done is I've just attached a small rural recycling center as part of the same complex. And then it's only allowed to operate Southport and Northport. So it's pretty much 5 vehicles dedicated to just handling the ports. So I'm hopeful that's gonna help, because obviously this is reducing our industrial efficiency, and in the case of the Chowder Bay clean coal power plant, it's also reducing our electricity production quite a bit. Alright, we're doing another little checkup on the healthcare situation, and statistically it's a nice little bump, but it's not like it looks super impressive. Visually though, it looks like we've really fixed the bulk of the issue here in Fort John. I'm not gonna disable or remove any of the new healthcare providers here, because we are going to grow the city, so I wouldn't mind having a bit of extra capacity, especially since the economy is still looking super healthy. And speaking of the economy, I think something that can help us push into the really happy territory would be lowering taxes. That's what the game is telling me, at least. So I think we're just going to scrape in a few more tax dollars, and then maybe when we approach around 3 million, we're going to try and lower taxes across the board and see how that impacts new developments across Easthaven County. Now, we did set out to create jobs in this episode, so let's see just how successful we were. Not that successful would be my guess, so let's just see if we can go for a month here. So I mean, it looks like we've created around 2,000, maybe 2,500 jobs in total, with about 2,000 of those being here in the port of Fort John. So in total numbers, not super impressive, but the area is big, it looks nice, and I think it's a pretty good start to our port, but it's really also a reminder that we're, of course, far from done. We need detailing, we need to build out this area, and I still have the plan of building like a proper shipyard with dry docks with ships under construction, which is, yeah, it's definitely gonna require a bit of creativity. So I think that's gonna be a wrap for this episode. I want to thank you guys so much for all the nice suggestions on the most recent episode. Most of them are related to the downtown core, which makes sense as that is what we worked on in that episode. So didn't really have the chance to implement some of them in this episode, but it goes without saying that if you have any other suggestions for what you'd like to see here in Easthaven County, or maybe specifically here in Fort John, then please feel free to comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye.